Have you ever felt like everything you thought you knew about justice was just a carefully written script, played out by people with power, while the rest of us sit back and watch believing we are informed, when in reality we are being fed exactly what they want us to see? Because when the news broke that Diddy Combs was denied bail, something shifted, something bigger was happening, and most people missed it. Welcome to HollyLeaks, where we expose what lies beneath the surface, and trust me, this story is far from over because the denial of Diddy's bail isn't just a legal formality. It's a signal, a flashing red light that says more is coming. Something darker. Something that's been hiding in the shadows waiting for the right time to emerge. When I first went live to talk about it, I was reacting in real time, but now after sitting with this for over 16 hours, analyzing every angle and connecting every thread, I can say with confidence that this is not the end game, it's the beginning. And it all points to one conclusion. A new indictment is coming. There is no other explanation. Because if you actually look at what happened in the courtroom, the pieces don't add up. Diddy was acquitted of the most serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Yet the judge still deemed him a violent threat, someone who should not be allowed to walk free. Someone who should be locked away until his sentencing in October. That's 3.5 months in jail for what exactly? He wasn't convicted of a violent crime. He wasn't convicted of anything that would normally justify no bail. So why is he still in a cell? The only logical answer is that someone very powerful is making sure he stays there because they know something. We don't. They're preparing something we haven't seen yet. And if you know anything about how the system works, you know this is exactly how they move. They don't fire all their shots at once. They build, they escalate. They wait for the moment when you can no longer fight back, and then they drop the hammer. And I believe that moment is coming for Diddy sooner than anyone expects, because you don't go from being a media mogul worth hundreds of millions, a man who made Kirak a household name and built an empire from the ground up, to being treated like a violent criminal over a Mann Act conviction, unless there is more beneath the surface. The real story starts years ago with his relationship with Diageo and the people behind it. Companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, who don't just own brands, they own the world. These are not just investment firms. They are kingmakers. They decide who wins, who loses, who gets rich, and who gets erased. And for years, Diddy played by their rules. He was their poster child, a success story they helped build. But then something changed. He turned on them, he accused them of racism, he demanded money, he filed lawsuits, and suddenly their golden child became a liability, and within months his house was raided, his name smeared, and his freedom stripped away. Do you really think that's coincidence, or are we watching a machine in motion, a machine that rewards loyalty and destroys betrayal? When Diddy sued Diageo for $100 million, claiming they sidelined his tequila brand and disrespected him. He crossed a line not just with them, but with the entire network that supports them. And let me be clear, Diageo didn't just partner with Diddy, they helped make him. And when he threatened them, publicly accused them of racism, and cost them over $20 billion in market value. He signed his own death warrant in business terms and maybe more, because just 3 months after settling that lawsuit, federal agents came knocking. The media exploded with headlines, and now we are watching the slow-motion collapse of a man who was once untouchable. And the judge's decision to deny him bail is not based on justice, it's based on pressure. Someone wants him off the streets, and they're making sure it happens. Think about it. The prosecution argued he was a flight risk, a danger to the community, yet he offered a $1 million bond, surrendered his passport, gave up his private jet, agreed to stay in New York, Florida, or California only for court and legal meetings, and still, the judge said no. The reason cited was a supposed long history of violence. But again, he was acquitted of violent charges and has no pending violent cases. This makes no sense unless they are holding him until the next case drops. And if that's what's happening, we need to understand that this is not just about Diddy, it's about how the elite clean house, when someone steps out of line, when someone who was once protected becomes a threat. The system doesn't just prosecute, they isolate, they silence, they erase, and that's what this looks like now. Maybe you don't like Diddy, maybe you've seen the video of him beating Cassie. Maybe you think he deserves what's coming. And I'm not here to argue with your feelings. But what I am saying is that this goes beyond personal feelings. It's about precedent. It's about process, and it's about power. When courts begin treating someone as guilty for crimes they haven't been charged with when bail is denied for things not proven in court, we are entering dangerous territory. Because today it's Diddy, but tomorrow it could be anyone. And when judges change their stance overnight from assuming someone wants to stay out of prison to locking them up indefinitely, we should all be asking why. And here's what. I believe the why is they are about to hit him with more charges, likely federal, likely explosive, and likely based on allegations that didn't make it into this trial, things we've heard about for years but never seen in court. And now with him behind bars, unable to defend himself in the media, unable to control the narrative, they are setting the stage for the knockout blow. This is a strategic takedown, and HollyLeaks will be here to cover every step because we don't just believe what we're told. We question, we investigate, we connect the dots. And this dot connects to a much bigger picture where power is protected at all costs, and betrayal is punished without mercy. So if you think this story ends with one trial, one verdict, and one denied bail, think again. This is just the beginning, and the next chapter is coming fast and hard, because when you challenge the people who made you, you better be ready for everything they're going to throw at you. And believe me, Diddy is about to find out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. And if you think for even 1 second that Diddy being locked up until October is just a random judicial decision, then you're not seeing the big picture. This is a systematic takedown, and it's happening in real time. And what's scary is how neatly everything is falling into place. The prosecutors didn't have to show a new crime or any new physical evidence. All they had to do was argue the vibe of threat, the possibility of witness tampering, and the idea that Diddy might flee, and boom, the man who once threw million-dollar parties with Jay-Z and hosted White House elites is now being treated like public enemy number one, and you have to ask yourself, who benefits from all of this? Because if you follow the money and the silence, you'll find your answer. Remember how Cassie's lawsuit opened the floodgates, but it wasn't just her, it was like dominoes falling one after the other, from the music industry to fashion to tech insiders. People who hadn't spoken in decades suddenly had stories, and not just rumors, but detailed allegations with timelines, with flights, with receipts. And somehow every one of those narratives made its way into federal hands. And what does that tell you? That tells you this wasn't spontaneous. This was orchestrated from the shadows, because when elites fall, they fall only when the people above them decide it's time, and Diddy's time was up. The same people who propped him up have now yanked the rug, and while the media keeps feeding you clips of him walking into court or photos of him looking tired, what they're not showing you is the network behind it, all the invisible power that's making all this happen. And let's not forget how the mainstream news barely talks about who Diddy was connected to at the top level. How often he was at the Met Gala, the Clinton fundraisers, the big tech launch parties, and now suddenly he's radioactive. No one's defending him, not even those who used to owe him everything. And that silence is louder than any headline. The legal system is just the surface. What's deeper is the purge, the cleansing of the elite circles. And it's not just Diddy next, it's whoever else tried to climb the ladder without permission, because in this world it's not about talent or hard work, it's about loyalty and obedience. And once you break that code, you become expendable, you become an example. And what scares me most is how the fans, the general public, are just watching like it's entertainment, like this is just another Netflix docu-series in the making, when in reality, this is a test run for how the system can dismantle someone at the flip of a switch. They don't need a conviction. They don't even need a new crime. All they need is perception and coordination. And the scary part is how effective it is. Diddy went from mogul to menace in less than 6 months, and not a single piece of actual trial evidence has been presented in a new case yet. But already he's in a cage awaiting what's next. And here's where it gets even darker while he sits in that cell. Denied bail, stripped of power, the real story is being rewritten. Behind closed doors, all his deals are being frozen. his assets scrutinized, his friends interrogated, and you think that's just standard procedure. No, this is erasure. This is how they clean house. And when October comes, don't be surprised if the charges are even more damning than you expected, because that's the pattern they break you mentally. First, they isolate you. Then they hit you with a second wave. One, you're too broken to fight. And if Diddy really is guilty of everything being whispered, then justice should be served, no doubt. But the speed and silence with which this is all happening, the way the media is syncing perfectly with law enforcement and the courts, that's not justice, that's strategy. And here's what I want you to take from all of this HollyLeaks isn't about defending celebrities. It's about decoding the matrix behind them. Because once you understand how this game is played, you'll never look at fame or power the same way again. Diddy may be guilty, but he's also a symbol. A reminder that in the upper echelons of society, power is never truly yours. It's leased. And the moment you misstep, it's taken back and repurposed for the next puppet waiting in line. And if you think this stops with hip-hop or fashion, think again. This is the same machine that decides what stories get told, who gets canceled and who gets crowned, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the moment when they turn the spotlight on someone else, someone you thought was untouchable. Because that's how they control the narrative, by constantly shifting focus, by turning giants into ghosts. And if you're still watching this video, it means you're not just a spectator. You're someone who wants to understand and maybe even wake others up. So do me a favor, like and subscribe.